Final and best panel of today, it's the Under 35's Future of Scottish Agritourism. My name is Katrina Gilmore. Everyone calls me Kat though, so don't ever call me Katrina. I'm the Bowhouse Coordinator on Balcaskey Estate, which is in the East Nook of Fife. One or two of you may have been to the Bowhouse food and drink markets that we hold every month. As well as our events, we host a number of fantastic small businesses, including a butchery, brewery, flour mill and market garden. This is my first time at the Scottish Agritourism Conference, and it's been a fantastic experience, and what a great bunch of people you all are. I'm also the destination leader for Fife, and that's a region I'm very proud to represent. So on to the panel. I had the pleasure of being one of 27 delegates selected as part of the Scottish Agritourism Development Programme, supported by Scottish Rural Network, so thank you very much to them for that. And today we're going to be hearing from 4 of the delegates I got to know over that time. So we're going to be starting with Lucy McGilvray from Glenlivet. Lucy works for NFU Scotland as a policy assistant. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Lucy McGilvray. I'm 22 years old and I'm a farmer's daughter from a livestock hill farm in Glenlivet, and we farm beef and sheep. Our farm sits at 1,200 feet above sea level within the Cairngorms National Park, rising to 2,100 feet on hill ground. To give a bit of background on me, I studied law and management at Robert Gordon's University before graduating in 2022 and accepting a role at NFU Scotland, which is a membership organisation. Alongside this, I'm studying a postgraduate diploma in agricultural professional practice, and I'm currently a policy assistant for the National Farmers Union of Scotland, covering skills and education, labour and next generation policy. So I was lucky enough to get a place on the Under 35 development programme, where I was given the opportunity to learn more about agritourism while networking and discussing a range of topical issues within agriculture. The slide above shows you some of the key civil servants and MSPs that we met during our visit to Parliament on day 2 of the development programme. We had a really busy day. We met with lots of people, including Willie Rennie, Douglas Ross, Finlay Carson, Rachel Hamilton, Murdo Fraser, Mary Goujon, Ash Regan, and civil servant George Burgess. And we're really grateful for all of them for meeting with us and having some great discussions on the day. I'm delighted to be speaking at this conference today, and I want to cover 3 important areas that commonly came up in discussions last week within our group, and we tried to portray these to the MSPs and civil servants that we met throughout the week. So agritourism can be a vital economic driver for rural areas, as well as supporting the rural communities in the wider agricultural sector. Economically, agritourism can provide opportunities to increase profitability while creating meaningful jobs within the rural economy. I know that the national strategy aims to take agritourism to the value of 250 million per annum, but if we had the scale of Italian agritourism, this figure would actually be 500 million per annum. This would make a significant difference to farming and crofting families and the much wider rural economy. We are seeing nowadays that society is getting more disconnected from agriculture and where their food comes from. Agritourism enables people from all over Scotland to get onto farms to learn about farming while enjoying the food and drink direct from the farm, either when they're visiting or to buy to take home. It can re-establish that connection and appreciation that people have for their food through learning where it comes from. In Scotland, we have the fantastic ability to sustainably produce high-quality produce, and we need to be able to showcase this better to the wider public and promote buying local. Getting the public out on farm for tours, accommodation and experiences can all provide a brilliant bridge between the public and the farm gate. So the next point I want to touch on is the Agricultural and Rural Communities Scotland Bill that is currently in stage 1 in the parliamentary process, with a call for evidence from the Rural Affairs and Islands Committee, which is currently underway. So in the bill, it states that the purposes of future policy are the production of high-quality food, the use of sustainable and regenerative practices, facilitation of on-farm nature restoration, climate mitigation and adaptation, and enabling rural communities to thrive. So there's quite a lot in there. The importance of rural communities in the role that agriculture and agritourism plays in supporting them is a clear message that we got across when engaging with various MSPs in our day at Parliament. So the bill needs to ensure that sustainable food production is supported through direct support in Tier 1 and 2 of the framework, but also through indirect support in Tier 3 and 4. As the Deputy First Minister mentioned this morning, the framework is making progress, albeit slowly, but we really need the detail and, crucially, the financial support to back that up and back their policies up. In our day in Parliament, we ensured that MSPs and civil servants understood how things like capital grants can be so useful for investment in farms, and Ollie's going to go into a bit more detail on this later on. But just to reiterate that these grants must be in Tier 3, and it's important to note that grants aren't just investments in farms, they're investments in the future of food security, rural development, and also in a sustainable environment. So another topic we covered in depth at the development days was succession. Succession isn't just about giving the next generation the opportunity, but it's about ensuring a smooth process for the older generation to be able to pass down. And as we know, it's not just about inheriting land, it's about inheriting knowledge and a commitment to supporting our rural communities. Succession should be a smooth transition that enables the next generation to continue to support Scottish agriculture. But the sad reality is that many farming businesses have yet to put a succession plan in place. Therefore, we all as a sector have work to do in enabling and supporting families to start having these conversations about succession and about the future of their business. NFU Scotland hosted a webinar on making succession a success a few weeks ago with a fantastic turnout with professional speakers. And this shows the need for the advice and support on the topic. We had a huge amount of great feedback and we need to continue to provide support. So agritourism can be one way of making the pie bigger. So traditionally, farming businesses may only have the ability to pass that business down to one family member, but by expanding the business, there is potential for more than one family member to be supported comfortably. A great quote that I've taken away from all the discussions around succession is that succession should be fair and not always equal. So overall, agritourism breathes life into rural economies. Direct support and capital grants can fortify the foundation of agriculture, and successful succession ensures the continuity of this age-old profession. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much, Lucy. For many of us, it was actually our first time to Scottish Parliament, including myself, and they were very accepting of the rabble of us, and it was very interesting to see how each MSP could answer the question just slightly differently. So next, we're going to hear from Maddie Thompson, who's from Thomas Thompson Blairgowrie Limited. She's helping to assist her family's berry farm with their future endeavours. All right.
Thank you, Kat. Hi everyone, my name is Maddie. I work with my parents who run a berry farm in Blairgowrie. Our family business has been running for over 100 years. Although we have been growing berries for that time, it was initially more focused in the textile trade, where we ran several spinning mills along the River Erict. In those days, the rhythmic hum of spinning mills and berry fields defined the landscape around Blairgowrie, providing sustenance and purpose to many families. However, the winds of change swept through, and the last of the mills closed in the 70s, like many others around the country. Fast forward to today, and the parallels between then and now are striking. The farm is now grappling with the many, many challenges faced by soft fruit farmers, from rising costs, foreign competition, red tape, and labour complexities. The decision to shift away from spinning mills echoes in my parents' recent decision to stop commercial production of our blueberries, both instances born out of the necessity to adapt to evolving market forces. Perhaps a reminder that change is inevitable and success lies in the ability to transform. Now the family business finds itself once again at a crossroads. The need for diversification has become not just a strategic move, but a necessity. And I very much argue that this should not have been the case. Food production is more than an economic endeavor. It's a matter of safeguarding our collective well-being. The closure of farms not only affects families and local communities, but has a ripple effect on the broader landscape of our nation. Furthermore, during times of uncertainty, national food security becomes paramount. The younger generation, our future farmers, are the lifeblood of agriculture. But with the uncertainties and challenges faced by farms around the country, the prospect of coming home and taking up the mantle becomes a lot less enticing. Succession is not just about passing the torch, it's about ensuring that torch can keep burning bright. I only recently started working back at the farm, but my focus has been on exploring the wide range of diversification opportunities instead of reigniting farm operations due to the unprecedented challenges farming faces. As a nation, it is imperative that we support the younger generation. This support can take the form of implementing policies that not only safeguard, but actively promote national food production. Additionally, initiatives designed to catalyze diversification plans and bolster existing ventures should be a priority. As part of our Under-35 scholarship, these pivotal requests were passionately conveyed to several Parliament members during our recent visit there. As a group of under-35s, we're all in various stages and positions, but the significance of these key points resonates universally among us all. From my perspective, we're at the start of the next chapter in our family business. I think that agritourism presents a fantastic opportunity for visitors to experience the history of our farming business, incorporating both our heritage in textiles and soft fruit. And I look forward to being involved in the new Monitor Farm programme to develop this new venture. We do need, however, local and national policies which will support enterprises like ours. I am optimistic that we can navigate the challenges ahead and hope to one day be presenting about the next success of the business rather than the sad state of the blueberries, much like my father navigated the changes in the 70s from the mills to the berries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maddie. Many of us were really impacted by Maddie's blueberry story. We're really frustrated by the lack of support for national food production. So it's definitely a discussion that needs to be had. So next, joining us on the stage, we have Tess Sands from Oakfield Farm at Errol. Her business is taking its first steps into new agritourism ventures.
Hi everybody, I'm Tess Sands. I farm alongside my husband on a small 35-acre block of ground in Perthshire that we've now owned for just shy of 2 years. Additionally, we rent seasonal grazing that we've done for over 10 years. We predominantly sheep farm, however, while I was on maternity 4 years ago, we diversified into free-range turkeys, and we've slowly increased the numbers over the last 4 years. Our ethically reared Kelly Bronze turkeys are sold directly off the farm into the Christmas market. Since purchasing Oakfield, we've made significant investment to create a base for our farming enterprise on the site. We've got power, water, we've built several general purpose agricultural sheds, put up a polytunnel that we lamb in and we rear the turkeys in. We've installed field drains, sown grass. Much to my husband's annoyance, I've planted hundreds of metres of beech hedging plant that I now have to maintain. In May, we further diversified and I opened a small equine livery yard. We've got a number of horses on livery that I look after, and then we also opened the farm in spring to the public. We hosted a variety of lambing tours, from family tours, children pet lamb feeding sessions, to lambing shed afternoon teas. And most recently, I've been hosting a preschool educational group called Tots on the Farm, where we get children out to the farm in a safe and closed environment and teach them about where their food comes from and what happens at different times of the year on the farm. I would like to focus on housing and planning, and I was grateful to raise these points with MSPs when we visited Parliament a couple of weeks ago. As you probably already know, thanks to Caroline this morning, I live in a caravan on the farm, which we have lived in since selling our house to purchase the land at the end of 2021. Our first winter on site was powered by an external generator. At this time, this is a time in my life that I like to describe as character building. Mid-shower, when the diesel runs out, you soon learn to check fuel levels before jumping in a shower. I should probably also add, at this time, my children were age 1 and 2. So needless to say, Santa brought them head torches and hot water bottles that year. I'm sure I'm not alone in voicing my frustration about planning. We've submitted quite the number of applications since having the farm. Some have been more straightforward than others, but our current biggest battle is trying to get a house. This is still ongoing, and without going into too much detail, we submitted an application for a modest house that met all the required labour hours, and so on. This was rejected on the grounds that, in our planning officer's opinion, our business wasn't well enough established. With the support of our local councillors, we appealed this decision to the local review body, which is a panel, as we heard yesterday, of councillors that review applications such as this. Unfortunately, the decision was not overturned at this process. But I think what frustrates me most about the whole thing is that during our whole application, our planning officer has never once set foot on our farm, let alone understands the difficulty and struggles that we are faced by trying to run a business from a kitchen table in a caravan with 2 young kids. So we're a young, ambitious farmers, my husband and I. We're keen to grow the agritourism side of the business, but we need the support and understanding of planners, local authorities and government to support businesses like ours, and it currently feels like an uphill struggle. Being part of this under 35 group has been my first direct contact with Scottish agritourism, and I've been welcomed in with open arms, and especially over the last couple of days, it's been great to speak to so many different businesses. And even within the group, it's been great to hear all the different ideas and speak to lots of different people on different journeys. So thank you all.
Thanks for sharing your story with us, Tess. It's really important to hear things like that. Planning's always been a controversial subject in farming, and something we can all relate to. And this group's made that even more obvious to me. We're delighted that the Chief Planner could be here yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't it? Not today, yeah. To answer some of our questions, which leads us on to our last speaker for today, Ollie Lake, a bit of a local celebrity, who co-owns Thorabella Farm with his wife, Nikki, known as the home of the buffalo outside Dallas.
Hi everyone, I'm Ollie Lake, and as Kat said there, I co-own Thorabella Farm with my amazing wife Nikki, who's in the crowd somewhere, and we have 2 kids, Amelia and Toby. Some of you may recognise us from the recent series of This Farming Life. We are young entrants into farming, and we bought our 40-acre smallholding back in 2017 and made the decision to farm water buffalo. The water buffalo work really well for us, as we have very wet land, which they love, and the meat sells brilliantly from our on-farm Honesty Shack to locals, and we supply a couple of local restaurants too. Although the buffalo meat sells well and we make a profit, we only having 40 acres isn't enough land to make enough money to pay a full-time wage. So unfortunately myself and my wife both work full-time away from the farm in the whiskey industry, as well as running the farm and raising a family. It's a big juggling act to make it all work, but we manage, well, most of the time, and I know we're not alone in this, and it's a very difficult business to run. Since there is no capital funding available anymore for us farmers, it's very difficult for businesses who want to start out to get the help in hand to get the business to a sustainable stage. There were a couple of grants available when we first started out farming, which we did try to apply for, but which has been some of our biggest headaches to pass. Firstly, we applied for the New Entrant Startup Scheme, which gave us a massive headache. We'd only been farming for a month, and we're very new to this and the application progress, which was going to cost us about £3,000 to get someone to write the application for us because we had no idea where to start. Being reassured by the applicant writer that we had a 95% chance of getting the funding, we decided to go ahead and spend the £3,000. In addition, the applicant writer was correct. We would have got the funding if the application was done correctly, but unfortunately there was key information missed out which we didn't realise was needed. So funding which we should have received that would have got us a lot of equipment and a lot of stock to get the business off its feet was lost to us, and we had a £3,000 bill to pay, which is a lot of money when you're starting out. We were lost and didn't know what to do, but thankfully we got in touch with a local MP and he managed to resolve the £3,000 fee as the applicant writer realised there was mistakes made on the application, and which resulted in us not getting the funding. After this, we looked to apply for leader funding and got somewhat through the process, but decided to pull out due to the complexity and the application and the uncertainty of the certain stages of the process. Having spoken to a few of the under 35s in the last few weeks, I have heard of a couple other businesses who had the same issues as us and pulled out for the same reasons. So from our experience and speaking with a few other farmers, the application processes need to be less complex and more user-friendly for us simple farmers like me. While working full-time, it's very difficult to manage all the jobs in the farm. It has benefited us in other ways. It has given us the extra capital that we need to invest in the farm business for other projects to diversify, and since there is no funding available. Working full-time and running the business is not something we want to do forever. So 15 months ago, we started to build our own straw bale cabins to rent out for holidays for people to do farm experience. The cabins are built out of straw bales, the same as our house, which we built in 2020. All the work, except from the electrics and gas, because that would blow us all up, was completed by my wife and myself. The cabins are built in an area of the farm that is surrounded by animals to give them that ultimate farm experience, with the water buffalo, sheep, wallabies, goats, pigs, rabbits, and poultry, all within a close proximity of the cabins, along with a play park and games room to be enjoyed by all. The cabins have been completed for about 2 months now, but we are not renting them out yet due to the red tape issues, which we've been speaking about the last couple of days. The council have been very difficult, saying that they don't comply with the Caravan Act, which the cabins are built under. The frustrating part is the inconsistency again. One planning inspector came out, checked the drainage and the cabins. I had no issues with any of it. Then one planner saw us on TV and decided to complain to his boss that we didn't comply with the rules, and now we have to jump through hoops for the past 2 months. Biggest problem with this, it's cost us around another £1,500 and time. The impact has been lost revenue to the farm after we have invested over £80,000 into the cabins already. In addition to this is still ongoing today, but fingers crossed it will be sorted in a week or so, but that's been very optimistic, which my wife keeps telling me I am. And that's without even mentioning the STL licenses, which is a whole other ballgame, but we won't go into that. I have another plan in the pipeline to expand the business even more, which requires more capital and more local authority input. And it puts doubt in your mind going forward, knowing we and other farmers have had such issues getting permission in the past. All of this investment was undertaken without outside funding, and I've been fortunate enough to borrow money from banks, family, and having a working wage coming in to pay for this. However, if we got the capital grants, there would be more businesses willing to take the risk to diversify into agritourism, but it will also give us a leg up for young farmers such as ourselves to join the family business and broach the subject of succession with their family. The Scottish Government are pushing for farms to diversify to make them more sustainable and profitable, but when we try to do this, there is multiple roadblocks in the way which need to be resolved to encourage more people to move into the agritourism. We ourselves got started getting into agritourism about a year ago, and having Caroline at the helm is a massive benefit to the farm looking to diversify. As most of you already know, she's a very driven woman to help push agritourism forward and unlock their potential in Scotland. I'll get my check for that later, Caroline. I attended the Under 35's 2-day programme 2 weeks ago, and seeing the influence she has within the Parliament is astonishing. She can only be a good thing. As a group of young farmers, we were able to meet and speak to the MPs and put across our concerns, not just for us, but for all farmers, and they were very receptive. I would like to expand my business and make it more sustainable and create jobs for not just one family, but multiple families. So one day, if my children want to join in the farm business, that I have opportunities lined up for the succession onto the farm, and without agritourism, this won't be possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ollie. Hopefully Ollie's had a chance to grill certain individuals on planning applications during this conference. If not, you've got buffaloes. So, As a collective group, we'd like to say a big thank you to Caroline and to Millie and the whole team at Scottish Agritourism for giving this group the opportunity to push us out of our comfort zone and encourage personal growth. So thank you. This is my first time ever chairing a panel at a conference, and it's been a very scary experience, and although I have enjoyed it and I feel well supported amongst this fantastic group of people. Thank you. So have we got time for questions? 2 or 3 questions. Okay. Anyone down on the floor first of all, and then I'll check this app. Different code number. You've got to go back to the original one, which I've lost. It's 7023367 is the number. Any questions? No? Okay. Where? Right at the back. Sorry, didn't see you.
Hello. If the panel could be First Minister for a day, what would they each want to change?
What was that?
If everyone on the panel could be the Prime Minister.
If they could be First Minister for a
If
day,
they could be the Prime Minister for the day.
First Minister, what would they
First
change in
Minister, not Prime
Scotland
Minister.
to make their life better?
I think from our particular perspective, a bit more control in terms of how the supermarkets run, because the reason that the blueberry price just completely plummeted and we can't control our own prices. So I think that's, if we can have a bit more control on what the supermarkets can and can't do, that would be good.
Personally, myself, I'd give everyone 100 grand in the room to get their project running. But I know that's not possible, but I would probably look into capital grants, not just for young farmers, but all farmers, to get the funding out there so people can strive towards their future and strive to get those businesses running the way they want to do it.
I think for me, obviously within a day, you're not going to make a huge impact, but from having 2 young children and then meeting other parents, I think the lack of education from like even our generation about where food comes from, and that sort of sustainability. So I would definitely put some time and funding into schools and also into sort of our age level for that level of education out with agriculture. I think we take it for granted, actually what we learn growing up on a farm. Actually a lot of people, even, you know, we've had people out to the farm who are very educated individuals, you know, lawyers, you know, surgeons, and they come and they've no idea about, you know, my kids go and collect eggs from the hens, and, you know, they don't understand the difference really between a boy and a girl hen, and yeah, it's quite eye-opening.
I think from an agricultural point of view, we hear a lot of conversations about, you know, being sustainable and regenerative agriculture. So I think I would try and get across that, you know, agriculture, food production needs to be first and foremost, but we can do so much other things for nature restoration, biodiversity. We're already doing a lot of that, but there is potential to do more. But I think Scottish Government need to recognise that they need farmers to meet their targets for environmental targets. So probably just that piece around food production needs to come first, but we can, if they enable us, we can do it in a way that's environmentally friendly.
Solid answers there. Anyone else down here? I've got 2 on Slido that I can ask, if not. Yep, this guy here.
Thank you. From Charlton Farm in Montrose. We have a son who's not here. He's 18 years old. At what age do you think the under 35 programme becomes, I suppose, worthwhile? Do you feel that they have to be maybe more life skilled, or is somebody at 18 or 22 or 25 better to get into that type of programme?
Well, Personally, I would say any age is good to get. There's a whole range of variety of people in the under 35s. There's people that are still at uni and are just looking into getting into just agriculture or tourism. So I say the earlier the better. You know, the more interaction you can get with people just out in the room here, you learn so much. So if the scholarship runs next year, I would get them on it, get them apply for it. The earlier the better, because the more knowledge you learn, the more hopefully you can progress your business.
Yeah, I would say, so I'm 22, I'm not from an agritourism business, but I work for NFU Scotland, so with the Next Generation it seemed to go on the programme. And it's been so useful. I don't think it matters what age you are, and I think Caroline said that all along, that although we're, you know, the under 35s, that it doesn't mean we've got any less knowledge or maybe need a bit more experience, but yeah, it doesn't matter what age you are, you've just got to get involved and have the opportunity to learn. Like, I've learned so much even on this 4 days, so.
I agree.
Question from Tim.
More of a statement than a question about the funding, and it's just going through my mind that there's a lot of reliance on grants and funding over the last 2 years. About that's the kicker, and if you get one, that is fantastic. But funding and a grant is not a right, and there are many avenues to look down. And so if you're just looking at tourism, have another look at the commodity groups that you're involved with, grain or beef or sheep or whiskey or cereals or whatever. But it is not a right. And down in Tasmania, we had so the reason for funding and reason for grants is to stimulate a community and an economy and a commodity. And so to give back, a lot of the criteria is actually, yes, you're going to get the funding, but what are you going to give back in return other than the bricks and mortar and the employment? So it is designed to stimulate. And our last round of funding in Tasmania for tourism, there was $8 million available, and there were $31 million of applications. So that's the levels of disappointment. And so for the last speaker, I know that you missed out, and you missed out on a technicality. But when you are applying, you really must read those guidelines to the absolute T and write in there and have with absolute clarity, because it is highly, highly competitive.
Yeah, I would just say on that as well, obviously all businesses are always going to want, can I get a grant, can I get money to do this? But I think there's other policies that can be implemented, which is, in the past 10 years, the amount of red tape that has increased and the amount of cost and more time, and for small farms, it's the exact same that a big farm has to do, and we have a much more limited resources. So if there's these increasing amounts of red tape and costs involved in running business, then we kind of need more money to come in to be able to do that. So I think there's other things that you can do, like reducing the red tape, reducing the additional things that you need to do to get more money in that sense.
Okay. Yeah, we're running over a bit, and Caroline's looking at me, and like everyone in this room, bit nervous. Okay, so we're gonna close the conference with Riddle Graham, the chair.